All right, moving on to third down before we get out of here. Let's get a little FCS or no.
Southland or SEC? Big Sky or Big Ten? It's time to play FC Yes or No.
Austin Peay against Central Arkansas on Saturday night. What are we betting? You give us a 2 to 3 minute breakdown.
As we're here, DraftKings has posted Austin Peay +3. Now, there's some other shops out there that have a little bit higher number. To me, that number is crazy. So we're recording this on a Wednesday. So as I talk, there could be COVID outbreaks, which there already has been at Austin Peay. The Hurricane Laura could take a turn and really go straight for Montgomery right now. Montgomery's really kind of on the outside skirts after it hits land. So there's a lot of moving pieces to this puzzle here, but let's get into it. Let's talk about the actual coaches in the actual game. I think the point spread is getting pushed because Austin Peay's head coach, Mark Hudspeth, decided to resign in the middle of July. That was after they had 11 COVID test positive. And then immediately a guy that wins 11 games for Austin Peay last year and takes him to the FCS quarterfinals, he decides that he's going to dismiss himself as head coach and saying that he needs to spend more time with family. So there's really a lot going on there. The person that took over is Marquise Lovings. He's a defensive coordinator. He's the interim head coach now. The full entire coaching staff is still intact. So as I see this number, and let's talk about power ratings real quick. Sagarin, if we would have based this game off of Sagarin last year, this should be Austin Peay -9.5. Now, if you go through all the things that I go through in the offseason where it comes to second order win total and returning production, I made this game Austin Peay -3.5. And I think there's two things that are really plugging the steam on this from a public perception about this game. Because Central Arkansas is a good team and they want to play everybody and they want to be known, but they're not Austin Peay. They're not a quarterfinal FCS team. They're not – Austin Peay has been fantastic for years. And so I think what's going on is everybody's looking at the Hudspeth departure, the COVID outbreaks that happened at the beginning of July, and they're just betting on Central Arkansas. So we'll see how that goes. But I think the number is completely outrageous and deserves it. But let's talk about, Marquise Lovings is the interim head coach now. He was the defensive coordinator. The offensive coordinator stays in place. And we have to talk. You and I used to talk about this before. What was Urban Meyer worth to the point spread for Ohio State when he got suspended for 3 games? How much was his impact? And I think you and I decided that it was really 2 points against the spread. So why is, Hudspeth's departure moving this thing like 6-7 points? That's absolutely ridiculous. So, from a X's and O's standpoint, Central Arkansas has 18 returning starters. Austin Peay has 16 returning starters. So there's a lot of familiar faces on both sides of the ball for this game. And they played last year, a game that Central Arkansas was trailing the entire time, even though Austin Peay quarterback Jeremiah Oatsville got hurt like in the second series of the game, and Austin Peay had a problem putting any points up because he was hurt and taken out. And Central Arkansas had problems putting points up of their own until a 43-yard explosive pass from Braylon Smith, gave them the 1-point lead. And then Austin Peay tried to go for it on their own 20. They spotted, Central Arkansas. So you're going to look at the score and you're going to say, well, Central Arkansas handed it to them. They didn't. They didn't have the lead until middle of the fourth quarter. It was kind of a fluke game when you look at turnovers and you look at, yards per play and yards gained. That was Austin Peay's game the entire time. And the thing about Braylon Smith is he's a pocket passer. He doesn't get out and run the ball anywhere. And he took sacks on about 9% of his attempts. And he's made comments this offseason like, I've got to get better at getting rid of the ball. I'm taking too many sacks. 10% taking sacks, that's a lot. And that is the strength of the Austin Peay defense, is their front seven is loaded. Like, they're one of the best defenders. They have a All-American candidate, Joseph Smith, who is a tackle for loss machine. They have a transfer coming in from Penn State who wasn't going to play for Penn State, so now he's going to play for Austin Peay. The front seven is loaded, and they're the bread and butter. And I think if they can keep, Braylon Smith and Central Arkansas from throwing the ball down deep, this is Austin Peay's game. So, get over the power rating, get over the Hudspeth portion of it, and get over what people are thinking from last year's score. There's a hurricane on the way. Hurricane Laura is making landfall here on Thursday. It's going to whip around, and by the time it's going to be in the Tennessee-Alabama region, this is going to be an extremely wet ball game. The total came out today around 43.5. The first half total is at 22. If you listen to the Central Arkansas coach, Nathan Brown, he came out after their last scrimmage, and he said the defense dominated the offense. which is crazy because the offense is the strength of the Central Arkansas team. So, if the Central Arkansas offense can't get anything going in their first game of the season, and Austin Peay's strength is the front seven, and they have problems offensively from adjustments, then I expect – and whether you throw a hurricane on top of it, I like a first half under in this game. I like an under overall. And Austin Peay, this is just way too much movement on this point spread. So, it's Austin Peay for me. It's an under for me. I think Oatsville being a true dual threat quarterback that's going to have more runs, more designed runs, that's going to burn the clock. So that's where I'm going. Austin Peay in the under here.
Well, it's nice to take the week off from the FCS breakdown because that was a beautiful breakdown. Plus, it's an Arkansas college, so I figured I'd let you take it. And death taxes and Colin fading college football teams within the state of Arkansas.